Welcome to the Conquering Hill podcast and more in talk show. I'm your host, Nicholas Ganger, and I'm coming here today to speak with you on February 9th, a beautiful Friday. Thank you for joining me in any way you slice. I'm going to dice it for you, especially today with a special edition of a Super Bowl preview. I know many of you will be watching the game Sunday night. I'll actually be in transit flying back to Panama, so I'll probably miss the first half because I'm on a plane, and then I'll watch the end of the game, second half, going into the final minutes inside Newark, the airport. So that's that. I don't know how I pulled that off and decided to buy tickets on the Super Bowl Sunday, but whatever. It's not the first time I missed the Super Bowl. Actually, I remember the first time I did miss the Super Bowl that I can remember was when I was in Costa Rica. No, I'm sorry, I was in Panama on on Bastimentos Island. It was a year the Arizona Cardinals played the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't really remember the game. I think Santonio Holmes got the touchdown and late to win it. Either way, Pittsburgh won the game versus Kurt Warner, and I was in this hostel, beautiful hostel, two, three floors overlooking the Caribbean. There wasn't that many people there, and I asked. I mean, the TV must have been. TV was not big. TV was an old school television, probably like 24-inch if. And I asked the owner if he could put on the game, the Super Bowl. So watching the Super Bowl, maybe like within the first quarter, and all of a sudden, it's like me. I don't even think anyone else was watching the game with me. I think it was just me. And he all of a sudden the owner comes on, oh, Panama's playing Costa Rica in soccer and football and soccer. He just says it out loud, and then he goes and he changes the channel to the soccer game, Panama versus Costa Rica, which is a big rivalry. I understand, it's a big game, and he puts it on, and I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And he's watching it now, and I'm watching for a second, like, and I'm looking into the stands of where the game is being played. I don't know if it was in Costa Rica or Panama, what the hell it was, but like there was like almost like literally nobody, nobody in the stands. And he's watching this game like, oh Christ, I'm out of here. I don't want to waste my time watching this soccer game. So that was the last time I missed the Super Bowl. So I'll miss a little bit. First half at least, maybe the halftime show, but whatever. So here today, I'm gonna give you my preview, my predictions, and either way it can go. So we have the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Full disclosure, I'm a Raiders fan, so I don't like the Chiefs. I definitely respect Patrick Mahomes and all he's done. They're a great team. Obviously, they're currently in a dynasty, no doubt about it. So San Francisco, they got some talent on that roster as well. Offensively, they got some firepower with McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, and Mr. Irrelevant Purdy. Um, I want to say the second best offense this year, first or second best offense in terms of points scored, and Kansas City Chiefs have maybe the second best defense in terms of points allowed. So we have a battle. And generally, the Super Bowls, even though last year there was an over on the spread on the over under, generally they tend to go towards the under. FYI, betters out there. So I'm leaning towards the under as well on this game. I think it'll be a tight one. Most Super Bowls are. I think the last blowout was last time there was a blowout was when Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady beat down the Chiefs. You remember that one? I think it was 30 something to 9 or something along those lines. The Chiefs couldn't score because they couldn't protect Mahomes. So they were just made him run around. So can I get to Mahomes again and beat him? I think the Chiefs offensive line is much better than it was. I think they were missing a couple tackles that Super Bowl, and they were just couldn't do it. So the game is always won in the trenches. Defense will win championships. You've always heard that. So who's got the better defense right now? The Chiefs have the better defense. Chris Jones up front. They got a couple shutdown corners. And the defensive coordinator, Spagnuolo, is pretty tough. He's going to drop some plays. And can I get Purdy to make a few mistakes? So Purdy, as you know, has made a few mistakes recently. He hasn't been that sharp. Christmas Day, don't even remind me about that game in my own fantasy championship. I had Purdy in my roster. I threw up a goose egg and I lost it in the semis. Not happy with Purdy. Not happy with Purdy at all. So I'm not gonna necessarily say he can't win because listen to odds makers in Vegas. They have the Chiefs. I'm sorry, they have the 49ers giving points and winning this game. So can they win this game? Absolutely. I think the Chiefs can. I'm sorry, the Freudian slip. I think well, both teams can win. The Niners can definitely win because they have that offense. Now, can they score enough against the Chiefs? Because the Chiefs' defense has been locked down. So the Chiefs have been playing very well, playing the underdog role. If you look during the season, they were not playing well at all. Everyone wrote them off, and myself included. I thought they'd be a one and done playoff team, but once they beat down the Dolphins. They went into Buffalo, beat them down, and went into Baltimore, won pretty handily. So now the momentum is on their side. They're clicking on all cylinders. And sometimes when you have that championship blood, championship DNA, you just find ways to win. And right now, they do. They have those things. The Niners, on the other hand, Mike Shanahan, on the other hand, their coach is famous for blowing that 28-3 lead to the Patriots years ago with the Falcons, right? Never get over that. Also lost a Super Bowl versus the Chiefs years ago, 4 years ago with Jimmy G. That was a close one. I think the Niners were winning, and the Chiefs came back to win that one. And last year, obviously, Purdy got hurt in the NFC Championship, and they were just never able to overcome that. So, better roster, 49ers, absolutely. Better quarterback, the Chiefs. Right? Better coach, well, Andy Reid has won multiple titles now. Um, both great coaches, but it comes back down to that championship DNA. Have you been there before? Can you do it again? Now, most of you remember there was no way in hell the New England Patriots were going to lose when they were undefeated with Randy Moss and Gronk, and they lost to the New York Giants 17-14 in the Super Bowl, right? Now, the game could have been fixed. Aren't these games scripted and fixed in a certain way? How many calls will you see Super Bowl Sunday where you're like, dude, how can you call that? I think even last year there was a horrible call that put the Chiefs down within the 20-yard line, whatever the hell it was, and they just kicked the field goal to win. It wasn't very uh, climactic at the end, right? It was just, there's a penalty, and now you could kick a field goal to win. So there will be some calls along the way. We all know that. Simple defensive holding, offensive holding will change the game. They can call it any time because it's holding on every single goddamn play. So will the referees lean towards the Chiefs or the Niners? You know, the external Taylor Swift hoopla on the outside, being at the game. You know, does the NFL want them, Kelsey and Swift, down the field after the Chiefs win? Do they like that? Does that sound pretty good? I mean, you have Kelsey and Mahomes on television all the time with their commercials, Mr. Pfizer. You know, so Travis Kelsey has obviously sold his soul, you know, promoting the vaccine, um, and now dating Taylor Swift, whatever you believe about her. You know, so there's all these angles, right? So the NFL have already won by having them in the game. Now, it doesn't matter if they win or not, right? They've already got who they want into the Super Bowl. So they have Taylor Swift there. They have, you know, Kelsey there. You'll be watching him on commercials throughout the game, and Mahomes as well. So they've already won in that respect. Do they want Mahomes to win this one? Right. So I always go back to being a conspiracy theorist in a sense, right? So who does the NFL want? How do they win? Right? How do they win? Well, the NFL wins no matter what, because if the Niners win, Mr. Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant's a great story. And they're a likable team overall, and it's the West Coast, you know. And then now you have the Chiefs, which Patrick Mahomes with all his all-state commercials, and then you have Kelsey with all his commercials, and you have Taylor Swift factor. And then, you know, Mahomes wins I want to say, is his third, and that's good for the storyline. It's good for the NFL to have Mahomes chasing Tom Brady, chasing the Patriots, and that's all good and fun as well. So I think either way, NFL wins. However, I believe if the Chiefs win, the NFL will be more happy with the outcome. So that's just a conspiratorial sense of who do I like. However, on the field, it's a whole different game, right? Who's going to rise to the occasion? Who's gonna make the plays? If you saw the game last week between the Chiefs and the Ravens, I saw most of it, and Mahomes looked sharp. He looked very sharp, and he was on a mission to get to the Super Bowl, and he did. Kelsey, he did. So I think the over-under on Kelsey's catches for the game is 6.5. I like the over on that. I think Kelsey will have a monster game as usual. If Mahomes throws the ball 45 times, it's 50 times. Where do you think the ball's going? Doesn't have that many weapons. Um, they're going to run the ball. San Fran's susceptible to the run. You saw how Detroit just slashed them on the ground. So if the game's won in the trenches, and Kansas City wants to pound the ball and run the ball with Pacheco and Hilaire, it's going to take some time off that clock. And we know San Fran likes to run as well. They're usually a pretty 50-50 offense. They got very, very good balance. And Shanahan probably doesn't want Purdy to win this game or lose this game, per se. I think he'll like to put the ball in McCaffrey's hands, Debo's hands, and run the ball a little bit, keep Mahomes off the field. So if we have two different teams trying to run the ball and establish the run, we're going to see that clock tick a little bit more faster. So that would lean towards the under on this point spread. Last time I checked was like 47.5. However, Kansas City can score. They've been scoring lately, and San Fran's got one of the best offenses in the league. So they just got so many weapons. So they can just isolate Kittle on a one-on-one, get Ayuk down the sideline, Debo out in the flats. They have so many weapons. How are they going to attack Kansas City's defense? That is the question. So now, what do you think is going to happen? Where do you think this game is going to go? It's in Vegas, so as long as everyone's behaving, it shouldn't be a problem. So Kansas City has more experience playing in Vegas. San Fran was there last year. I think Jared Stidham almost beat them facing the Raiders, and the Chiefs have. I don't think they've lost. I don't think they've lost there yet. The new stadium. I'm almost positive they haven't. I should know this, but Mahomes has a very good record against the Raiders. I know they lost on Christmas Day, but that was in Kansas City. And the kicker for the Chiefs, Booker, his most career field goals is actually in that stadium, besides Arrowhead. So the kicker's very familiar with the stadium. We always see field goals in the Super Bowl. Moody, not that impressive when it comes to kicking field goals, but the Kansas City kicker is on point. So I can see a couple of field goals. I think the line for most field goals the line for the kicker is 1.5. I think the over is a play on that one as well. Him kicking a couple field goals, Booker for Butker, whatever the hell his name is, for the Chiefs. And I think they're going to find a way to keep it within 3. Either team, I think, is going to win within 3. I'll tell you what my prediction at the end is, but I think either team is. We're not going to see a blowout here unless it's some kind of horrible injury, right? Between either quarterbacks. I think either way, it's going to be a close game. The NFL loves close games. I think it'll come down to the fourth quarter, as most Super Bowls do. Generally, the fourth quarter, we'll see a final drive, or we'll see things tighten up so much because one team has a lead and they're going to drain that clock, which always leads towards the under, right? Um, you can tell I like the under. So maybe I'm completely wrong, but I think both teams are going to run the ball, and Kansas City's defense is very, even though on paper they're doing great, but just for whatever reason, kind of underrated. So they had that underdog, underrated mentality, and I think they're going to try to prove what is that they're there for a reason, and they're going to shut down San Fran's D offense. I mean, look at Baltimore shut down their offense a few weeks ago. If they get to Purdy and they make Purdy make a couple mistakes, it's over. It's over. Now, Mahomes, when he did play the Niners in the Super Bowl a few years ago, he did get picked off at least once. I don't know if it was twice, but he did get picked off. Now he's been playing lights out in these playoffs. I don't see him getting intercepted. I think Mahomes is going to make his special plays. He's going to have a few big runs when the time is called, and I think the Chiefs are going to win this game in the end. My final score is 24-20 Chiefs. We are in the year 2024, right? The year of the wooden dragon. Um, I think a few years ago, I think I had, for whatever reason, I kind of, like I say, I just look for any kind of signs. And I think a few years ago, it was the year of the tiger or some shit. And the Bengals were in the Super Bowl versus the Rams. And I picked the Bengals to win that one. I picked the Bengals to win that one. They did cover the spread. But the Rams ended up beating, which was also an under in that game. Now, full disclosure, before the season started, I picked the Bengals versus the Niners, and the Niners were going to win it. So I got the Niners right. I had obviously the Bengals didn't make it. The Chiefs are there now. But for this week, I'm going to roll with the Chiefs only because I just don't know how Mahomes loses in the Super Bowl the way they've been playing versus Purdy. Now, you can look back at all the Patriots losses in the Super Bowl, right? How does Tom Brady lose to Nick Foles? Throws for 508 yards and he loses. How does Tom Brady lose to Eli Manning twice when they're undefeated? So it can happen. The upsets do happen, and I'm not uh, naive enough to think that that couldn't happen this week. Although the Niners are favored, right? So Mahomes as an underdog, his record is unbelievable. I'm not sure if he even has any losses as an underdog. So they're going to play with a chip on their shoulder. They know, in a historical sense, where he stands in the chase for the GOAT, and they want to make sure they don't waste this opportunity. So I think they're going to get the win this week. I'm a Raiders fan. I don't like the Chiefs. I want to see a good football game, but I'm also a realist, and I just don't see how the Chiefs lose. You have it's like it just seems so obvious. It just seems so obvious. You got Kelsey and Swift, and you got these commercials for the Chiefs, and we've seen what happens. They get all the calls, and then Purdy. I don't trust Purdy. I don't trust the San Francisco's defense anymore either. They just let up 30 something to Detroit, where Detroit probably should have won that game if Dan Campbell decides to kick a couple field goals here or there instead of going for it, Mr. Aggressive. But I don't think they even should have won that game. And then against the Packers, I thought they were lucky in that game as well. And I don't think San Fran has been right since Baltimore just shut them down. I think they destroyed the confidence there. I think they humbled them a little bit, but granted, 60 minutes. It's a 60-minute game, and who knows how it's going to play out. And like I said, it's in Vegas. So are these players, they're staying in the team hotels, they're not getting in some trouble? Are they going to be ready to play? And it was Lawrence Taylor. I think he was quoted. Lawrence Taylor used to say he always used to send a bunch of hookers to the opposing team's locker rooms whenever they came to New York and try to tire them out. So like, is that kind of shit going on? The shenanigans like that going on? Like, who's coming ready to play? So there's always some kind of background chicanery going on, some just like some small little moves that we don't see, that we won't find out about until the Super Bowl's over. Oh, this happened, that happened, right? I'm waiting for someone to be arrested. I'm just waiting for someone to be arrested. It just has to happen, right? It's just almost like it happened that night, the night before, after the game. Like someone's getting arrested. I'd be shocked if it didn't happen, right? So that is my prediction for the Super Bowl. I got the Chiefs 24-20 with the under. Chiefs covering. Um, I do like the Booker getting more than a couple field goals. Although if it's 24-20, that's only one field goal, unless something happens there. For whatever reason, that's my score. Can they still get to 24 without that happening? Of course, they can do it with a 2-point conversion here or there, but I do like that happen. I like Kelsey getting over 6.5 catches. Mahomes, who's going to be the MVP? So, how many Grammys did Swift win the other night? I don't know, but could Kelsey win the MVP? and a Super Bowl title. Could he win the MVP with Swifty right next to him? Could that happen? Yeah. Well, if Kelsey catches more than 10 catches, a couple of scores, makes a couple big runs, big plays, do they give it to Kelsey instead of Mahomes? Yeah. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Now it's hard to see. Hard to see. Usually, Super Bowl teams, the winning Super Bowl team, the quarterback will win the MVP. It doesn't happen all the time, but like 90% of the time it does. On the other side, if San Fran wins, would Purdy win the MVP or McCaffrey? Well, if you think that Shanahan's not going to let Purdy win or lose this game for the Niners, then they're going to try to run the ball. If McCaffrey gets in twice, if he runs the ball in twice, or one catch, one run into the end zone, he'll win the MVP for sure. Debo, same thing. If Debo goes off with a run and a pat and a receiving touchdown, yeah, they could win as well. So he can win that MVP as well. But I think in the end, it's probably going to be Mahomes winning the MVP. It's the Chiefs with the win. His third title. So the NFL likes that. They want that chase. They want the Mahomes Brady debate for the next 20 years. You know, um, granted, Mahomes' father got a DUI this week, so that's out there, right? So that's in the back of his mind. Like distractions, right? But the Chiefs are tough, and I always say until you slay the dragon, it's the year of the wooden dragon. They're gonna keep winning. So until they lose, don't bet against them. You're better off betting with the Chiefs. They lose, hey, listen, they lost. So, like I said, I'm a Raiders fan, but I'm going to roll with the Chiefs this week. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my prediction. So I want to thank you for joining me on this Super Bowl edition. Uh, Hopefully, if you're leaning one way or another, some of your bets I could have swayed you a little bit. So a little program news: I'll be in transit Super Bowl Sunday, going back to Panama. So this podcast will probably go live on Wednesday. I'll have Monday and Tuesday off because I'll be in transit and resting up. But I'll be ready to rock on Wednesday next week. Bless you. So just in case you think I quit, no. Just getting started, my friends. Well, thank you. Take care.